Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to Investing with a Difference. So, we are back with our BP Focus series. And today we have on the show Crypto Lions. So, Crypto Lions, if you are not really tracking, in early days of EOS when we were still starting, they had done a lot of work, and especially I think from the Jungle, the Jungle network, which a lot of developers are using. EOS Network Monitor, I think this was originally developed for Jungle, and if you remember my videos, I think we were always looking at EOS Network Monitor for a very long time on how things are doing. We have been tracking a lot of stuff like throughputs and so on, and it's one of the amazing tool in EOS world. But coming back to Crypto Lions, I think they're based in Ukraine. They have pretty solid, I think, policies around transparency, integrity. That's what we love about them. Very recently, they came out with their financial statements, and they are being, I think, leader in this department, showing how a block producer can really perform in a very, very transparent manner. And recently, they have also launched another thing that's called EOS Truth Bonds, and this is a great project. I will not go into details right now, because let's bring Roman from Crypto Lions, and he will be the best person to talk about all these things. So, hi Roman, how are you doing? Welcome.
Hi, thank you. Wonderful to be here.
All right, so I think we have been using your tools, Jungle, and a lot of other stuff. What do you see, how do you feel now in this current situation with EOS really going strength to strength? And as block producers, what are your thoughts on where we are and how you guys are doing?
Well, it's a dream come true to be here. We have everything we want, which seems to be a good reputation. Please correct, with a budget, and we're building things that people seem to be using. So it's a dream come true. It's not fun to go from being a top 10 block producer to a top 40 block producer, but we're grateful for everything that we have. It's still great. So we're real happy, and I think EOS is just starting. When the referendum contract comes online, when governance starts falling into place, I think EOS has barely scratched the surface of its potential.
No, that's great to hear. In fact, I think I'm really wondering how you guys dropped out, because as a developer, I think as a people who were really following EOS, we all used your tools. One of the most useful thing was Jungle, Testnet. Even now, I think everybody is deploying on Jungle first before going to EOS, and this is one of the greatest asset. And so how is Jungle doing, by the way? Do you see the same amount of interest, or do you see people now directly going to EOS mainnet?
No, Jungle still has a very important spot in the ecosystem. In fact, just yesterday we found a bug with 1.40. There was a bug that stopped nodes from synchronizing, so we told Block 1 immediately. Then we tested their patch, and then we deployed their patch, and it worked. And today we have EOS version 1.4.1. That was just yesterday. So it still has its place, as does the Killin. That's the new testnet. The two major ones are Jungle and Killin, and I think they're both extremely important. There's a big question hanging over the Jungle ecosystem right now, which is, are we going to reset the chain? There was a strange bug in block number 1,300,000 something, where you need to be on an older version of EOS to synchronize when you synchronize with that block. So synchronizing has been a huge barrier to entry, because you need to start synchronizing on an old version and then update to a new version. So we're running a community survey right now, and it seems overwhelmingly the community wants to just reset the chain. So after producing 20 million blocks in Jungle, we're going to go back to zero and start again. But it'll be a good thing. It's only for sentimental reasons that we're hesitant.
No, I think I understand the sentimental reason, but I think what we are talking about here is one of the greatest tool for EOS developers, and we do want to give them confidence. So I'm glad that you guys are still putting a lot of effort in that, and making sure that people have the best environment to develop on.
Yeah, let me give a shout out to EOS Costa Rica. They're sharing the administration responsibility with us. Yeah. They've been doing a great
No,
job in helping
that's
us.
great. Yeah, I think we should definitely mention Costa Rica. I think they have been doing a great job as well, and especially on jungle. Like, let me just highlight to viewers what we usually do if you are not a familiar. So when you're developing an app and you want to test it out, you do not want to directly go on mainnet. You need to have some place where you can have the same EOS software running, where you can use some free EOS instead of real EOS. And Jungle is they have a tab where you can just go grab some EOS. You can play around as if they are real EOS. You can really test out your app. You can do all this fun stuff and iron out your issues. And that's how this works. And this is one of the very, very important tools which CryptoLion and Costa Rica, these guys are maintaining. So let's talk about more stuff. So what is the future? Like, you talked about Killing, you talked about other stuff. So what is the testnet future looking like?
The testnets have their place. I know offhand of a half dozen dApps using Jungle to test their applications. So it's more of the same, just running it, testing it, leaving ourselves vulnerable to attacks. There was an interesting attack last month where, because of our faucet, because we have this faucet where we give out free Jungle EOS, there was some guys who abused the faucet with a bunch of scripts and then elected a bunch of non-existent block producers, or like just block producers that didn't have any software running. They were just an account. So the chain froze. But hey, it's good to be exposed to that kind of attack in the testnet where there's no value at stake, because figuring how to get out of that problem was kind of creative. It was the first time a major EOS chain sort of relaunched from a backup, from an archive of the blocks, which is how we recovered from that incident. So it's going to keep going as is. We're going to professionalize it a little more. We just started doing weekly calls of the Jungle community every Friday. And we're going to, just better communication for, more deliberate testing and more deliberate help to people who want to join Jungle. And if any dApp developers out there want to join Jungle, the best way to do that is in our Telegram. And you can link to our Telegram channel. You could either just find it by searching for Jungle Testnet, or you could link to it from cryptolions.io.
No, that's great. And I think that's very important. So I'm just trying to turn my video on. So just for viewers, let me tell you that I was facing some issues with my Wi-Fi signal. So I just wanted to make sure that I give more bandwidth to Roman, who is the guest of honor, rather than me. So I try to turn off my video as a few times. I hope you don't mind it. So yeah, coming back to the CryptoLions efforts, I think beyond Jungle, I think EOS Network Monitor was one of the greatest tools which we have been using. So do you want to run through that on how it came about? Of course, you needed something for Jungle, but how is it doing now? And I see that you have added some new features recently.
Yeah, if I can share my screen. There we go. Can you see my screen?
Oh, yes, I can see it.
So the monitor is an active development. We've never stopped working on it. It started as something that Bogdan, my co-founder, just hacked together for the Jungle testnet, and it became really popular. And we're like, okay, we're filling a niche. Let's really focus on this. So then we just added more and more features to it and did a complete rewrite. This is version 2 now. Some features that we just added recently is we added here, you can select different columns. So you could turn columns on and off based on what you're interested in. But here we have expected income, which is different from actual income. So if you look at number 22, EOS Sweden just fell out of the top 21. Their expected income based on their position is 393 EOS a day. But since they were just recently, within the last 24 hours, in the top 21, their actual income is a little bit higher.
Oh, that's very interesting. Yeah, we didn't really notice these things. So thanks for showing us. So basically what you're saying is expected is in the next 24 hours, or how does it work?
Expected assumes that the percent of your vote and your position will stay the same. So expected is just based on percent vote and whether you're top 21.
Sure, but that is for next 24 hours based on current situation, while the actual is what in the last 24 hours.
Right.
All right, that's great.
We filled out this API feature, so you could make API calls through our wrapper, and you can just select from this list of API calls that are available for EOS.io and exercise them right here in our monitor if you want to check something very quickly. Here's a list of peer-to-peer nodes. Might be useful for developers. Go to our monitor and click peer-to-peer. Next week, we hope to have copies of blacklists up on the monitor so we could see who has an up-to-date blacklist. That'll be a cool feature.
Oh yeah, that's I think is a very important feature because there are a lot of times when we were not sure who has blacklisted. How about the gray listing? So is it something which you can track? Like so we had this block Twitter gray listing. Is that also going to be tracked at some point?
We're not planning to because we think gray listing is a temporary feature. Let me explain gray listing very quickly for users that may not know. So EOS.io has a question of what to do with excess resources. So everyone gets the resources that they reserved based on how much EOS they have staked, but then there's leftover. And the algorithm for allocating leftover resource was sort of gameable. And certain applications like Twitter were running in such a way that they would sort of monopolize the excess resources. So gray listing is sort of a block producer thing, something that block producers can do to make the distribution of excess resources more equitable. But I think the EOS.io, the core software, is just going to figure out how to do that better. So gray listing, I expect to become obsolete. It's probably not a huge priority right now because we're not at that capacity that there's a big battle over the excess resources, but I think it'll happen. So we're probably not going to try to show that in the monitor.
Sure. No, I think I fully agree with you. In fact, there were quite a few Telegram channels where I was arguing against gray listing and asking. In fact, we discussed with some of the Block.one engineers on some of the channels, and we were discussing how to solve this problem. But I'm glad to hear from you that these problems are being looked into, and hopefully it will be fixed at a more system level rather than every time going and finding these block Twitters. And it also is controversial because how do you differentiate between a spam and a real app? And I fully understand and agree with you on the right way to do it. So I think it's a great thing. So hope to see more features in the network monitor. And what else you see as like the key things you guys are working on?
Well, one big thing that's coming is Deru truth bonds. That is what I think. I'm really excited about this project. I've been talking about it since my very first interview in June. We, as block producers, want to attract more people into the EOS ecosystem. We do this in various ways. One of these ways is by trying to fill important niches. So it seems like a no-brainer application the more you think about it. Cryptocurrency allows you to make a promise and guarantee your promise with a little bit of value in the form of EOS. So Deru truth bonds are a very simple application that let you articulate a promise, put the promise on the blockchain, freeze some tokens under this promise, and then have an arbitration system when let people make claims against it. It seems like a very simple keystone that can affect a lot of things. So what are the use cases? The first use cases are going to be block producers like us who want to make promises to the community about our good behavior. So we will use it, and we have guarantees from about 5 other block producers that they will also use truth bonds to make promises to the community. But think how this could grow outside the crypto world. You know, as Dan Larimer said, you know, blockchain is going to start changing the world when people stop talking about blockchain and just start talking about the things that it could do. And this is one of the things that it can do. So a journalist, let's say journalist trying to build his credibility can offer a truth bond and say, if anybody finds factual errors in my reporting, you can have access to this money. You can have a little application on your smartphone that says, you know, if I'm late for dinner, here's $5 guarantee that I won't be late for this meeting that I have with you. There's also huge industrial application. There's letters of credit in international trade. This is just a financial guarantee that different parties make before a barge full of cargo goes from one place to another. Letter of credit, they're extremely expensive, and crypto allows you to do it at a very low cost. So we're not going after those big use cases. We're just trying to put the little keystone in place, the basic functionality, and then we want to make it a platform that other people, customize, so other people can go after the letters of credit industry. Other people can customize it for journalists, and that's it. Those are truth bonds. It's already working in Jungle as of this week. I plan to make a tutorial today if I get to it, so I could invite people to come play with it. And we are talking about joining forces with the other truth bond project, which is Tungsten, led by EOS Metal. So we're both pretty much doing the same thing. I think we both arrived at this idea independently. We've been talking from, as soon as we figured out that we were doing the same thing, and it's looking more and more like we will make one project and join our efforts rather than duplicating them.
Oh, that's a great thing, and I think this is amazing what I found about EOS community. And more I spend time on Telegram and with people like you guys, talking to each other, solving problems, and working towards joint future. But I think just to come back to the Deru truth bonds, I think I love the idea. Especially as you talked about, this can be as small as a very basic day-to-day transactions or just a fun stuff for keeping people on their time, keeping people true to their words. And it can be as big as you can go to and deploy that as a legal entity with we are like, there are a lot of countries where these bonds are like a paperwork which has to be bought from the courts, which has to be approved by some specific authorities. And that's the whole point of cryptocurrencies was, where you want to get trustless entities created rather than this trusted government bodies who are providing you bonds. So I'm really happy that you guys are doing it, and I look forward to how it evolves. So what do you think, as a block producer, you will be able to support this infrastructure, and you will be able to have dApps coming on top? So what's your vision on Deru Truth Bonds?
This comes from, let me think out loud here, because we're still discussing it. It's still very early. If anybody wants to get involved, just go to deru.io and join our mailing list, or join our Telegram channel. Well, it's still quite early. This is my idea. I'm thinking out loud. We need to build not an application, but a protocol. One thing that EOS Metal and we realized is that we're both building the whole thing because we're just trying to prove the concept. So we're building the smart contract, the back-end functionality, and sort of the web portal that allows people to use it easily without having to go to the command line. So we're building the application, but we need to make it a protocol and let other people put applications on top. Part of this comes from advice that I got from EOS Tribe, who are also involved in this project. So imagine we build a protocol. Okay, but why are people going to build applications? Why are entrepreneurs going to try to use this protocol to solve hard problems? And I think I got the business case nailed down. And this comes after my first conversation with you a few weeks ago. Incidentally, I put a lot of thought into this. So the business case, or like the way to put a successful business on this, is the arbitration. Arbitration is a very important service that costs money. It requires real effort, and you should really pay for it. And there are plenty of arbitration professionals in the world. So that's the industry. So I think what an entrepreneur will want to do is build some awesome application that sits on top of Deru, and then just funnel people. If you want to use my application, you use this arbitration forum or these two arbitration forums, and that's where you make money. By putting people in your chosen arbitration forum. So an example can be a smartphone app that lets you make really quick, sort of casual day-to-day promises, and they all get the fees for those promises go to fund your arbitration forum. I think that's the business case. This is still over the horizon. We're still at the stage of proving the concept. We're building it for free. It'll be more or less free to use. The fee will go to the arbitrators, so it's not free to use. But we're not doing it for profit. We're doing this for the community. We're doing this out of our block rewards. So initially we just prove the concept. Block producers will use it. People in the EOS community will use it to make guarantees. But we're also keeping in mind how to build a platform that can incentivize entrepreneurs to build on top of it. No, that's new idea. If I'm wrong, please tell me, write to me. but I think I like it so far.
No, I think that's a great thing, Roman. I think I'm getting very excited about it. And as you said, right, this can be a big platform for arbitration. It can be anything actually. Means to think of it, my thoughts are that any application, for example, even these gambling sites, if they can put it as every bet is my going through a truth bond, they give you more promise. I'm just thinking out loud. Maybe I'm just over applying it. But what I'm saying is to give more confidence to people, to give like it is. Actually guaranteed by a blockchain, which is like block producers who are verified, who are already taking care of the back end of the system about this truth bonds. People can build like really trust, kind of validated, or you can say a sealed application where you say, oh, this is approved by block producers because my application is built on top of a truth bond, where the funds which are going to be available, they can be arbitrated upon, and we don't need to rely on the layer 1 arbitration. We do not have to go to ECAFs or any other entities. This can be done for the app in the system using these truth bonds. I'm actually very excited about these ideas, and this can create a lot of opportunities for application specific arbitrations and create some great business models around.
Yeah, and part of what you said, like it was like, oh yeah, that wasn't even in my head. Like some of the way the applications work, the area is so rich. Like there's so many use cases. That's another reason why we need to make it a protocol, because like I can't even imagine all the use cases myself. I just want to focus on the base layer. We're doing it out of our block rewards. We're not doing it for profit, but we want to create the incentive structures where entrepreneurs can just follow up and solve awesome problems and make a lot of money, as they should, for solving difficult problems.
Sure. No, I think, Roman, I think I'm really excited about all the work you have done. And it shows right from the days of, as we talked about Jungle originally, which is one of the most important tools, like to be able to test your application before you go on mainnet. And you're talking about this protocol level, I think arbitration possibilities. I'm actually very excited about all the work you guys are doing, and thanks a lot for what you do. So while we are talking about all these things, let me jump on to very important aspect, because we now are getting into the basics of EOS, and you talked about this arbitration. But I think let's go back to the block producer candidacy and how you have approached. One thing which excites me about your approach is that you have been very transparent. In fact, you're one of the first block producer, I believe, I don't know if anybody else has done that, who has released financial statements.
You're the first, yes.
So how did this came about, and what are your thoughts on why it is needed for a system like EOS?
Well, I'm not sure that it is needed. I'm not sure that it is, but it's something that we said we would do. And so we did it. I believe very firmly in who's that famous investor that lives in the Midwest? He's also badmouthed cryptocurrency, but that's okay. He's from another generation. Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett says, much better to lose money than to lose integrity. So that's kind of our philosophy. And we're doing it. Transparency is something that, well, I don't know. It's just so much easier for me to work transparently, to put all my cards on the table. That might be a little bit of American naivety. It's certainly more that philosophy is certainly more prominent in the United States than in Ukraine, where I live now. But yeah, we're going with it. So if you want to see our financial statements, you can just go to Crypto Lions on Steemit, or link to our Steemit account from CryptoLions.io, and you'll see how much we're making every month, how much we're spending every month, broken into categories. And there you have it. You can see that we're right breaking even. So we're making development decisions based on our income. So if you like what we're doing, please vote for us, and tell the whales as well.
No, yeah, I think I love it. And I think this is something which, in my view, let me add a little bit on it, that my view is that DPoS is a very, very critical way. Like you're acting as a delegate for people, and people are voting for you. And while I agree that a lot of people want anonymity from blockchain, people want a lot of as a token holder. But when you're running a public blockchain, when you're running something which we are trying to create a trustless system. Unfortunately, in the way DPoS is defined, we do need to have trusted entities, and there is a balance, which I think Dan Larimer talk about. There is a balance between how much decentralization you want with complete anonymity and anybody can run versus this 21 block producers chain, which EOS is. And I really love this concept that people like you are coming out in open, and there are a lot of others who are pretty much open. I think you have taken it to the next level by showing your financial statements and showing all your funding and everything, which is great. But I think my personal view is that DPoS is as strong as the delegates who are participating in it. And if they are transparent, if they are open and reachable, most important is they should be reachable. And that is something which I really love about many of the block producers. And what you have done is something which I think a lot of people should learn from. I'm not saying that I agree with you. It may not be needed, but it is just setting an example which gets me excited.
Yep. And let me also give a shout out to you and all the other YouTubers. I think EOS is only going to be as good as the media that covers it. I love what Dan Larimer calls rational ignorance. You know, people are busy. They have mortgages to worry about, relationships, families, whatever else. So they're just too busy to, you know, I don't expect them to go digging and figure out what new features Crypto Lions added to the network monitor. So that, like, the media is very, very critical to this ecosystem. So thank you as well for doing what you do.
No, thanks a lot, Roman. I think my view is that, yeah, for me, the YouTube thing happened accidentally while we're just trying to help a few investors out there. And I'm glad that I'm able to talk to people like you. I'm able to interact because of this medium. And it's a very open way. Like, I think EOS community is one of the strongest in the way people are reachable, people are available to talk and discuss issues. Nobody's trying to say that, oh, we are the best, but we are trying to actually solve one issue at a time. And that is what keeps me attracted to what is happening. And I think the technology is amazing, and you guys are doing that. So what do you think about, like, okay, let's jump onto the technology now, because I think that's what your strength is. You guys are doing an amazing job on, you know, all these test nets, network monitors. So what is your view on where EOS is heading in terms of performance, in terms of what should we look forward to as a person who's looking for EOS to be successful?
Well, I think it's barely scratched the surface of its potential. Okay, so I'll give you two sort of views, and there's a tension between them. The hype is so far ahead of the reality. This tends to be true in all tech, not even beyond crypto. In all tech, the headlines, they just go way beyond the reality. So there's a ton of work that still needs to be done. And a lot of these images that people have of a new society, or sort of, you know, local governments or state governments becoming less important, and you're sort of this member of a digital global society. Like, that vision is coming, but there's just so much work that needs to be done, and there's just not enough developers in the world to do all of it. So it'll be slower. On the other side, like, EOS seems way above and beyond any other chain. I guess I haven't been looking that carefully because I've been in EOS world since I made that decision, and it's barely scratching the surface of its performance. So technically everyone's getting better. Like, the conversations that happen every day in some of the Telegram channels, they're getting so detailed, and so figuring out how to optimize and how to better measure performance. And block producers are kind of competing with each other, who's going to have the fastest nodes, even though we're not even close to touching the capacity of the existing nodes. So all signs point to it being great. I also think the two big changes are coming. The first one I already mentioned. Getting the referendum contract online is going to be huge, because then governance can start moving forward in a deliberate way. That's going to change everything. The second big change that I see is the cost of side chains is going to go way down. It's going to become very easy to launch a side chain. So, you know, whenever there's a serious conflict, or whenever anyone has a really cool new idea, expect a side chain. I think that's going to happen a lot, and I think it's going to be beautiful. The side chain blockchain phenomenon will certainly be bolstered when inter-blockchain communication gets figured out a little bit better, because then you can have tokens hopping between chains. That might still be a little further away than we think, but it's a great place to be. This ecosystem is a fantastic place to be. So whether we're, block producer number 8 or block producer number 40, it's a dream come true for us. We're happy to be here.
No, I think I really love it, the way it's described it. I think I fully agree with you. While I think people are impatient, people are looking for great things right now. It's a process. And I was just on that other channel on Telegram and EOS Mechanics and some other stuff where people were like, even like the excitement around improving performance on a day-to-day basis is amazing. And all of you have been doing a great job, especially the people who are technically involved and really solving issues on a day-to-day basis. And I love that excitement. And people are not seeing what is happening behind the scenes and how this is improving. Like we had the CPU issue a couple of days back, and we're already seeing amazing improvements after this change which came in. And similarly, you said inter-blockchain communication. I'm sure this will be something which will really change the whole environment, and we will see much bigger performance numbers going forward.
Yeah, it's gamified. This is like the genius of DPoS. Like it's, I don't even care if the network is at capacity or not. I know Crypto Lions has the number 1 fastest nodes. I think we're 10th or something. And we're like, doggone it, let's finish these network monitor changes and then make sure that we're number 1 again. It's totally gamified, the improvements. Whether we need it or not, we want to move forward to be the best. So that's just genius, the way the incentives are structured in DPoS.
No, that's a beautiful thing, right? That's what I see, right? And plus it's about the collaboration. While it is a system where people are looking for gaining ranks in the BP rankings, I see an amazing amount of collaboration. And that is something which I'm really amazed at. And right from the days when we decided to have a single mainnet to now, when we find a new fix and some new improvements, and I love this group, EOS Mechanics, where people share, I found this way of improving performance, and they're not keeping it to their chests, and they're actually going out and sharing it with everybody.
Yep, it's a wonderful thing.
Right. So what do you think? Like now, what are the other things? Like EOS Network Monitor is amazing. What else we should be looking forward to from Crypto Lions in short term? So we are talking about this whole idea about truth bonds, which I'm very excited about. So what are the other things which, as a block producer, keep you excited? Do you also interact with dApps? Do you look at your public nodes? How do you improve those, or you help the dApps? Is that something which you believe is a block producer responsibility?
Well, I think the block producer responsibility is to build blocks and to add value, those two things. And adding value, I think block producers are just doing whatever they're best at. So you have some block producers that are just amazing communicators. They're just communications machines. I don't know how they do it. 24/7, they're available to answer, beginner questions or expert questions. There are other block producers that are good at running their infrastructure. Other block producers are doing investments. And so as long as you're adding value, as long as you're producing blocks effectively when you're in the top 21 and adding value. So I wouldn't put a hard and fast rule on what to do. This is what we're doing. We're building tools. And yes, we are providing public endpoints. In fact, we are talking to a fairly popular block explorer about setting up redundant history nodes super fast, specifically for them. So our infrastructure work is also ongoing.
No, that's great. So I think, Roman, I am very excited about. I think me being involved in some of these technical aspects, I have the luxury of seeing what you guys are doing. I wish more people could come and see what you are developing and what you're delivering. So what are your final thoughts on, and do you have anything else to share with the viewers before we wrap up this session?
Check out the EOS Network Monitor and our new features. If you're interested in Daru Truth Bonds, please go to daru.io and join our mailing list.
All right. And where is the best place to find you guys? If to interact with you and to get any more insights into what you're doing?
You can connect to our Telegram channel and our Twitter and our Steemit and everything else on cryptolions.io.
All right. Nice talking to you, Roman. I think it was a great discussion, and I love what you guys are doing. And keep doing all the great work you are already been providing. The services you're providing are amazing. They are irreplaceable, and look forward to more great stuff from you in future.
Thank you so much, Ramon. It's been great.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.